From the moment you boot this game up, something tells you this will not be a normal Zelda adventure. The purple Zelda text with Majora's Mask itself staring straight at you, and the giant moon in the background tells you a little bit about what to expect. Immediately you can almost feel the dark energy coming from your TV screen, and that's exactly what you're supposed to feel. This is a very dark game, and not just any dark game, a dark Zelda game. Many class Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess to be evenly matched in this regard, but I have to disagree. Twilight Princess, although not a usual Zelda title, it does have some dark elements linked to the story, but it almost tries to copy Majora's Mask's hell-like energy. What I mean is that Twilight Princess tries to be dark, whereas Majora's Mask is dark. For us to figure out why Majora's Mask is so far ahead of Twilight Princess, we must first understand a little bit about the game. At the start of the game we see Link riding Epona through the Lost Woods from Ocarina of Time. Suddenly out of nowhere, two fairies startle our horse, causing it to rear up on its hind legs and knocking Link to the ground. This is where a strange figure appears which resembles the body of Skull Kid, but wearing a disturbing looking mask. After Skull Kid steals our possessions, we finally awake, causing Skull Kid to flee on Epona. We continue to chase Skull Kid until we reach a dead end, with a drop only to fall into the depths below. Things get a little weird here, as while we are falling we see strange symbols resembling masks, clocks and an ocarina. All these symbols are linked to the story of the game. We know that Link collects numerous masks throughout the game, and we also know that we use our ocarina from start to finish, and the clock just means time, another huge part of Link's journey. After finally hitting ground level and landing on a Deku Flower, we stand before Skull Kid and his terrifying mask. After a short conversation, Skull Kid decides to transform us into a Deku Scrub. With the terrifying cutscene, we feel hopeless as Link is slowly transforming into such a useless being. Once again, Skull Kid flees, leaving us to continue the chase. This is where we meet our companion of the game, Taddle. She becomes very helpful later on and also sheds some light onto the situation surrounding Skull Kid. As we progress onward, we see a withered tree. If we interact with the tree, Taddle responds with, "It's strange, but the way you look right now sort of looks like this tree." Upon first glance you really wouldn't notice or even think much of it, but is it just coincidence that moments after we are transformed into a humanoid plant-like being, a random tree that looks similar to a Deku Scrub is just withered here? If you answered yes, then you'd be wrong. After completing the first dungeon of the game, we meet a character known as the Deku Butler. After leading Link to the Mask of Sense, the Deku Butler apologises to Link for travelling so fast, stating that Link reminds him of his son, whom he used to race with through the Deku Shrine. During the end of the game, a scene is shown where the Deku Butler goes to mourn at his son's remains, meaning that the very spirit of the Deku Butler's son was sucked out and placed inside the Deku Mask, thus killing the Deku Butler's son, and this is just one example that makes this game so dark. We eventually meet with a very popular character called the Happy Mask Salesman. He too, like Skull Kid, existed in Ocarina of Time. He goes on to say, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" Meaning us being transformed into a Deku Scrub. He has been following us and explains that his precious mask was stolen from him, and we are the only ones who can recover it. But he will be leaving in 3 days. He himself comes across as a very mysterious stranger, yet we accept his task. We finally enter Clocktown, which is basically the main hub of the game. You will notice a giant creepy moon with a face that looks ready to end the world. That's because it is ready to end the world of Termina that is. Termina is not Hyrule. Termina is labelled as a strange world, so it's unclear where Link actually is. While Termina does share a lot of the same residents from Ocarina of Time, it's very clear that these people are not the same people from Hyrule. We soon come to realise that Skull Kid is causing mischief around Clocktown. Eventually we run out of our 3 days, and we get a 5-minute countdown to what seems to be the end of the world. The clock tower opens, allowing us to finally reach Skull Kid and get back the mask. The power of the mask is too strong for Link, and we are only able to obtain our ocarina, which allows us to go back to the first day. We speak with the masked salesman and show him our ocarina, and that's when he teaches us a song called the Song of Healing, which returns us back to human form. He becomes angry when he realises we could not retrieve the mask. He goes on to tell us just how dangerous the mask is and how powerful it can be. The mask's name is Majora, and now we understand that it is not Skull Kid himself doing these things, but indeed the Majora's Mask. We can see the damage Majora has already caused. Woodfall is ruined, the water is poisoned, and everywhere we look is just dangerous and terrifying. The same applies to every region outside of Clocktown. The mountain, the ocean and the canyon are all in need of help. After completing the Woodfall Temple and killing the boss, we obtain the remains of Adolwa, the soul and spirit trapped within the leftover mask. This in turn cleanses the region and freeing one of the 4 giant guardians who created Termina. Majora has punished the land of Termina in many ways, destroying regions and trapping the giant gods away. Again, in the mountains, we can see that it has been ruined and the once rich rocky land is now covered in a blanket of snow, making it beyond freezing and killing off the Goron residents. This is where we meet Damani. Damani was seeking to venture into Snowhead Temple and defeat the boss, Got. He was blown off the narrow path in the valley outside the temple by the unseen temple guard, Bigoron, and perished. He leads us to the Goron graveyard, and it is here where we play the Song of Healing to put his ghost to rest, and his spirit is then left within a mask. Once again, we experience more death. We use the mask to turn into a Goron and free the region. We kill Got and get his mask remains, and once again we free a giant, this being the second. The next stop is the ocean. The same pattern arises. The region is in need of Link. We see a Zoro body floating in the water. We push him ashore and find out that the Zoro is called Macau. We find out that his friend Lulu's eggs were stolen by the Gerudo pirates. These eggs will die if they are not recovered. Macau tried to infiltrate the pirate fortress but did not succeed in retrieving any of the eggs and ends up floating in the Great Bay coast, dying from his injuries he's received. By playing the Song of Healing, we once again free a spirit and obtain another transformation mask. We kill the dungeon boss Georg, free the region and save our 3rd giant. And finally we reach Akana Canyon. Nothing screams death more than this deserted wasteland. We have the graveyard that is haunted at night by Stau children. We have Captain Kita, who we must fight and obtain the Captain Hat. We have the mysterious Poe Collector, the undead Garrow and the Gibdos, the creepy well, and much more. Akana was already a cursed land before Majora came along. Akana was once a kingdom like Hyrule, but went through years and years of bloody wars under the king, Igos to Akana. Now let's talk about the music box house. Upon reaching the inside of the house and heading down the stairs, we see a wardrobe. Approaching the wardrobe will cause a half Gibdo, half human to spring out. This is Pamela's father. He was cursed entering the Gibdo well and began to gradually turn into a Gibdo himself. Playing the Song of Healing will restore him back to human, reuniting him with his daughter. Although a happy ending, if not for Link, the situation would have only progressed. Once we beat the dungeon and finish off the boss Twin Mold, the final giant is set free, but the region is still left in despair, still cursed and left to the undead. Everything that has happened in its cursed land is stuck and unable to let go of the trauma it has endured. If we head to Milk Road, we come across Romani Ranch, owned by sisters Romani and Cremia. Here we learn of a mysterious being known as Them. These beings are ghosts and they come to steal the cows from the ranch and leave Romani traumatized if they succeed. Link must help defend the ranch by shooting arrows at the ghosts and to keep them away from stealing the cows. These beings leave so many questions unanswered, but one thing is certain, they are very creepy. The hand within the toilet inside the stockpot inn, the night mask that keeps Link awake no matter how hard he tries to sleep, Seikon stealing from the lady from the bond shop. The list goes on and on. Everything in Majora's Mask is eerie and unsettling. Visiting the mayor doesn't even give us relief to the situation surrounding the moon killing everyone. He is in a dispute with the town's guards and the town's workers, whether to flee or stay. Nobody seems to know what to do. Finally calling all 4 giants to slow the descent of the moon, Majora's Mask discards the Skull Kid's unconscious body and enters the moon's mouth, once more driving it down toward Termina. To stop this, Link and Taddle must follow the cursed mask into the moon. Here we see children that resemble the Happy Mask salesman. They wear the remains of previous bosses we defeated during our journey, but one that stands out is a child sitting under the tree wearing Majora's Mask. Speaking to the child will give us the opportunity to fight Majora. This is a challenging but very fun fight. If you are able to defeat Majora's Mask, the game comes to an end and we save the world of Termina. The Happy Mask salesman gets his valuable item back, and even Skull Kid is left unscathed. But even though this game finishes with a happy ending, it's impossible to ignore the gloomy, sickly feeling that remains upon completion. Majora's Mask was made with a very tight time restraint. With a 1-year deadline, it's no wonder this game turned out the way it did. Majora's Mask, in my opinion, is a masterpiece and the best Zelda game of all time. That's the end of the video though, guys. I would like to say a massive thank you to everyone who takes the time to watch my videos. And if you could like the video, that would be really great. If you enjoyed, why not subscribe, as I upload weekly Zelda related content. Also, you can follow me over on Twitter the link will be in the description down below. I hope you all have an awesome week, and I'll see you in the next one.